Hello and welcome everybody to today's MyOsh webinar. I'm excited to have you all here today to learn more about the amazing capabilities of MyOsh. Now, over the next hour, we'll explore how MyOsh's Viking Analytics is transforming safety management, and with its easy-to-use interface, interactive dashboards and mobile app, MyOsh will make it so simple for your companies to exceed all your safety requirements. Today, during the webinar, we're going to dive deep into a variety of features that make our Viking Analytics stand out. So a few of the things we'll go over, we're going to be taking charge of sample management, effortlessly aggregating data and gaining valuable insights, all with just a few clicks. We're going to explore our CCM and risk assessment verifications and see how MyOsh streamlines your risk management process. Now, taking us through today's webinar is our esteemed director, Adrian Meneses, and the fabulous Selena Parker, who is our resident seasoned developer with a specialisation in business intelligence, reporting and data analytics. Before we get started, I just want to touch on a few housekeeping issues. I want to encourage you all to be as involved as possible. Ask plenty of questions, give your feedback, get involved. We love that. We'll be throwing over to you guys throughout the whole session. And today's webinar will be recorded as well. So if you need to leave throughout, don't fear, we're going to send it out to you afterwards. And it'll also be available on all our socials and websites as well. Now, I'm going to throw the virtual mic over to Adrian, who's going to introduce himself and a few of the amazing key bits of information about our Viking Analytics.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christina. What I'm going to go through today is, or what we're going to go through today is Viking Analytics. And first of all, I'll just explain what Viking Analytics is and why we actually have it. So for those who are using our system already, you'll be familiar with dashboards. So we have a very comprehensive dashboard function within the system. So the dashboard is more for the operational type reporting within the MyOsh system. So you can report things like frequency rates, you can build your own widgets to show a variety of information, but it's not technically a business intelligence tool. So Viking Analytics is exactly that. So a business intelligence tool varies in that it allows you to do more analysis of the information itself. So Viking Analytics is probably not something that you'd give to every member of your staff. It's something that you'd give to the people that are really wanting to drill into the data and to be able to look at the data in different ways and get a better understanding of the data, as opposed to just looking at the dashboard elements that we've got at the moment. So the two coexist. Also with Viking Analytics, there's a lot more options that can be achieved in formatting and various different layouts of the information that you want to see. There's a lot more in the way that you can interact with Viking Analytics, so you can click through and click across and do all sorts of different things that Selena is going to certainly going to go through. Now, one of the things I want to just point out in here is I'm in a module that you may not have seen called sustainability. So the data in here is actually being the data. What this is showing you here is it's showing you a module called sustainability, and it's got some data in there. So the data that's being recorded in here is being captured by end users. It has all the regular security that you have in the Viking platform. Now I'm in a new version of the Viking platform. So it looks a little bit different to what you've seen recently, but I wanted to sort of give everyone a bit of a glimpse of that as well. Now, so what it means is you can get people in your organization to be entering data with and securely. So you can say, look, you need to enter information about, water usage or whatever it is you need to enter into your system. And the way people often do this at the moment, this sort of thing, is they often get spreadsheets and they send those spreadsheets around, or someone sends a spreadsheet back, and then they combine it all into one, and then they go off to PowerPoint or somewhere or Excel, and then they produce all their reports manually. So without and it's not particularly secure, and it's not easy to change, it's not maintainable. The other thing that the benefit of being able to capture information in the Viking system is that you can also not only get people to enter information into it securely, you've got full audit logs of who entered it, and you can control who can do it, but you can also have information being pushed across from other systems. So the information you see here may not be entered by a person. It might have come from another system that uses an API to push the information into the actual system itself. So the main benefits that we can look at here is you can do a lot more reporting. It's not restricted to the modules that you already know about in MyOsh. There's a lot more modules that that you can do, and if you've got very specific requirements where our current dashboards don't meet your specific needs, the analytics side of things, the Viking Analytics side of things, will often be able to meet those needs, and in many cases exceed those needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to pass over the sharing, who'll know how to share properly, unlike myself, to Selena. And we're going to sort of co-present. Selena knows more about these reports than I do. So we'll be going through, I'll be talking about some of these modules in some detail first as to what it was for, where I know about them. Selena sometimes knows a lot more than I do, and that's where I just need to be quiet. And then I'll get Selena to sort of just walk you through the actual the dashboards themselves. So let's move over to the very first one, and which is, in fact, I'll talk a little bit about the sustainability one for a moment. Then I'll hand over, so I will stop talking eventually. So what you can see on this one is we actually have a sustainability module, which I was showing you before, and this is the reporting outcome. Now, what's important to note is this would be typically built for you based on your requirements. So you may not need to know about, percentage of small business or, recycling, or whatever. You might have very different metrics that you need to do. So many of the reports that we build specifically for customers on their particular needs, but we do have the shell and a lot of the framework developed for this one. So it's relatively quick to modify this and then build it to meet your specific requirements. This time I'm promising I am passing over to Selena to show and talk about this particular report.
Thanks so much, Adrian. This is one of our new reports, as Adrian and Christine have mentioned. I'm really excited to show you all what the capabilities are and what data you can capture and how you can use it to improve your decision making. So, and I'll also take you through just some GUI features that you may not have seen before, that you're not aware that we can build, and also that aren't available in the dashboard. So here, if you were to print this report, and all the reports are printable, you might want to make the most of the real estate you have here. So, but it also might be useful if, when you're interacting with the report, to have some filters. So to be able to filter the data, you can click on the sidebar here and choose various hierarchy, for example, is what we've built at the moment. And then you can close that filter and still see the report. Obviously, there's a bit of data missing there. And you can clear all the data and revert the report back to its original state before clicking some of the icons to drill through. So the reports are consistent. They all look the same to enable users to be familiar with what a new layout would look like, especially for new users. It can be a bit daunting if every page is different and visuals look totally different to what's on previous pages. So it'll show the data specific for whatever the subject is that you want to look at. But the learning curve is a lot less because you're already used to those visuals and you know the kind of data that it's showing you, and what the visuals are capable of. So I'll just show you a little bit more about the cross-filtering that Adrian spoke about. So this first graph shows the different companies. And at the moment, obviously, we're looking at across an organization, all the different companies. But just say we wanted to look at only a specific company, we could click here on this ABC. And if you look, you'll see all the data and all the other visuals has changed. So that's something that can be really useful if you if you can see an issue, maybe a spike somewhere in the data, and you want to have you want to investigate that a bit further. So it's not maybe it's not an issue pertaining to ABC, maybe it's pertaining to one or two of the other companies. So you can go back to the previous dashboard and similarly click on any of the other icons and look at the data that just represents that category. So that's our sustainability report. As Adrian said, there's a lot sitting behind there and there's a lot of data. So yeah, it just depends on how you want to build that out and what you want this front launching page to look like. And of course, we can change colors and icons and yeah, customize it totally to whatever it is, whatever ESG data you're capturing. So I'm going to move on to the next report, which is our sample management. This is also part of our ESG offering. And this report is just a slightly different layout where your dashboard is a bit more interactive. So again, you can click on, sorry, my mouse is playing up there. So again, you can click on, oh, that's taking a little while to load. There is a lot of data sitting at the back of this. So again, all the filtering's the same. And you can also use these navigation buttons up here to go through all the pages. And you can also see here, this number here represents the number of samples that you actually have per category. So we've got 100 industrial hygiene samples. The other thing we wanted to show here, as Adrian has said, there's a lot of data sitting behind it and can feed into these reports. But the underlying data could also have their own report or form as well. So this is what I wanted to highlight here. So if we're on this summary of industrial hygiene, but we can also click on this button and this will pop up the detailed industrial hygiene report with its own dashboard, its own detailed reporting as well. So this is all possibly mandatory reporting that needs to go to government or a governing body. So you can also move between reports, which is really good for these overview dashboards. And the other GUI feature which we thought was useful was these embedded bar graphs within a table. So you can see a breakdown of your data at a glance. You don't have to, some people still like to look at tables. So if you're looking at a table, you can also see trends. Like you can see this location here isn't performing as well as these other locations. So you can see it all in one visual. And you might also prefer to see trends. So you can, for this particular visual, it's showing you the people that have done the samples and what their trends look like. So you can see there's quite a flat trend here, but yeah, some of these other ones, not so much. The other thing we want to show here is we can do year-on-year change and comparison and percentages. So yeah, there's many visuals that we can offer and different ways to look at the data so you can analyze it and, like we said, make better decisions. Adrian, was there anything you wanted to add here?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things. I think one of the things that we look at is sometimes we do hit a roadblock in the dashboard, in the other, the Viking dashboard, where we do want to compare year on year or, variances and so forth. So anything is pretty much possible in our existing dashboard, but sometimes it's better to do it in analytics because it's going to be a faster result to do than doing it in the dashboard. So sometimes it can take a lot longer to build a custom widget. So in the Viking dashboard, you can build your own widgets and so forth. So, but you can't build all the sort of like nice interfaces like this with the the controls that you're seeing here. And sometimes there's limitations on being able to say, I want to compare two different forms. So when we get those sorts of situations, we sort of say, okay, we can build a custom widget, but quite often you might be better off looking at the analytics because you might be wanting to do more business intelligence type work anyway. And sometimes there's features in here that you can use that can do better. One thing I was going to mention is we haven't really talked about calculations, and I think the analytics tool, Selena, is pretty good at being able to build in calculations for certain things. So I know that we've had to build certain reports, excuse me, that are needed for particular purposes where they've got complex calculations built into them. And I think analytics is often a better way to go, using Viking Analytics to be able to build out those reports with more complex type calculations. So I know a lot of the ones we've shown today are more like looking at totals and averages and so forth, but analytics can go beyond that with comparisons, with calculations and those sorts of things. So I think that's some things to consider when you're deciding, do you use the dashboard, built-in dashboard, or do you look at the analytics? And our team's always also willing to help you to say, look, we can give you advice on either. Sometimes you can do it in either, but there might be a better option, and that's where we want you to go down the right path where possible.
I'm just going to jump in here and let you all know there'll be a few poll questions that I pop up throughout today's webinar. And I'm going to do the first one now. So I'm going to launch that for everybody. If you could all just pop in the answer box, what is the main report you need to produce in your current role? So you don't have to answer, but I would love it if you do, because Adrian and Selena have mentioned it's going to be something that we can build for you, or anybody can build, and it's something that we can create to suit your needs. It doesn't necessarily have to be what we show you here today. It can be anything. So back over to you guys.
Okay, so the next one I think on the list is, unless there's more that you wanted to cover on this one, Selena?
No, I'm all good. Unless anyone has any questions, we can move on.
No questions just yet. I'll come back to those answers after this.
Yep. So the next one we look at is risk profile, and this is one where, again, for lots of visuals are useful. Now, we often do demonstrations. We've got a lot of risk modules within the Viking platform, and those risk, whenever we talk to customers about risk, they've always got sort of different types of requirements for the sort of visuals that they want to see. And this is one that really lends itself towards the Viking Analytics platform. So I was in a major demonstration this week where they were coming back with, we want a heat map that does something that shows the risk levels based on a risk matrix. They want to be able to see things like risk appetite against, what risk level do they have against what is their risk appetite, and are they currently exceeding their risk appetite, and then being able to drill down into different parts of the business. So the risk side of this it really lends itself towards the analytics platform. And again, just as a note, and I'll stress again, these are just sample types of reports that we've built, and you might have very, very specific requirements where you want it to be laid out in different ways. You might want pages of these speedo diagrams in separate tabs where you can go through them. So we really do consult with you just to make sure that you do get the layouts that you require. So I'll get you to go over this one, Selena, and you can just go through and talk a little bit more about this particular analytics report we've got here.
Yeah, sure. So as Adrian said, probably the key feature of this report is the risk appetite. So here we've set up 4 different locations or sites, and each one will, you can set up so they each have their own risk profile. And so you can see this head office here, they've exceeded their risk profile. So they have their risk threshold, so they need to take some action to resolve that. So you can tailor it to your whole organization or as small a business unit as you like. The report can also show you risk rating, metrics. So overall, your reduction, what your average is, what your initial average is, and then what your residual average is. So you can get an overview of what your risk looks like. So this is the dashboard, which again is pretty self-explanatory given what we've already covered. We can also have a look at some lead and lag metrics, which gives you a little bit more insight and a bit more detailed data compared to the dashboard. Again, this is fully customized. You can have tables here if you like, instead of all the visuals. But yeah, again, using the same color coding and to make each report easily to pick up and understand. This particular graph down here, what we wanted to show was the relationship between a risk occurring and then an action taken as a result of that, and then does the risk decrease. So you can also do comparisons like that in analytics, which again is really useful to see whether your actions are making a difference to your health and safety.
I think that's a really good point. What I was looking at with, and we'll be talking about critical risk in a moment, but one of the reports I was looking at from one of our customers is they were seeing whether the number of verifications reduced the number of incidents that they were having within their organisation. So you've got where you want to say, well, I know that if I do these things, then incidents should come down, and then you've got those graphs that can prove it. Something else I'd like to probably point out here is, some organisations want very specific KPI type reporting with a lot of the Speedo graphs in there, where you've got the tolerance, like we showed on the main dashboard page. So, and a lot of people's KPI reporting is very, very specific, and needs to be built to the sorts of KPIs that they want to record. So this is a fantastic tool for being able to build out those KPI reports that fit your specific needs. And I think that one on the right is actually a nice one for the risk levels, but you could have all sorts of different heat maps and different types of bubble charts and so on. So there's a lot more, many more controls that we've got there that you can, and widget types and so forth that you can use. And a lot more control over the layout, as you can see. So each of these looks a bit different, and also we can control what can click across or click through, or those sorts of things, and where the filters are placed. And the other thing that's quite nice is that these can be also tailored to your color schemes. So if you've got particular corporate color schemes, we can then make it so it matches along with the sorts of reports you need to produce. These can all, I think, be exported out to PowerPoint as well. So it means that you can include them on your board reports and those sorts of things. So if you're spending days and days building board reports by pulling information from all over the place, then rather than doing that, you could have a customized report that builds out the way you need to see your board report, and then whether you might add extra slides or whatever, you can do that, or you might be able to replace the entire thing.
These reports give you so much more time to do other things as well and focus on other aspects of your job, which is what we all need when we're all overworked, isn't it? So I'll go to one of the questions that we have so far. Antonio has asked, do we have any emissions or wastage reports, or can they be made?
Yeah, we do. We do. We have some emissions and waste. We have both, actually. So these are the reports that we've got at the moment. They're just dashboards. They're not built out to have multiple report pages, but this is one of our sample ones here. So if you specifically only wanted to look at 2023, again, you can just click on, or you specifically wanted to look at water. Again, these aren't as data-wise, aren't as built out as the ones that you've seen so far, but we do have them and we can tailor them. Waste was the other one, is that?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, all the different things that you can do. And like I said before, it's not just limited to what we're seeing today. It's whatever you can think of.
Yeah. So with waste, again, this report, the data is tailored to a specific industry. Of course, that can be changed, but yeah, it's used. It's like these categories where you've got on-site reuse, recycle, off-site reuse. Can be any category you like. We will tailor it to be
Speaking of custom reports, I'm going to launch the next poll, and it is: what aspects of your company do you wish you could report on easily? So is there something that you come across in your daily role that you would love to be able to click a button and produce a report at the drop of a hat? So pop your answers in there and you guys can carry on.
I think one of the other things to be mindful of is that even if you're using the Viking platform, Marsh, and you want to be capturing this information, remember the Viking platform is a configuration platform. So I showed you the sustainability one before. That was just a custom form that was built. You can actually build these forms yourself or change these forms yourself. So if there's particular data requirements that you need to capture, that can be handled by Viking. And the other thing to mention is we've even worked with other third parties that do things like psychosocial risks, where they are using an app to question their people when they get to their sites as to how they're feeling and different other things that they want to know about. And then it's then pushing the information into Myosh/Viking, and it's then being able to be reported on within the dashboard. So it's not just information coming from the Viking platform. It could be information coming from anywhere else and other systems where you want to record it and be able to show it in one place. Was there anything else on this one that you wanted to go through, Selena, on the risk assessment?
No, I'm ready to move over to risk assessments and verifications.
Yep. So next one I'll talk about a little bit. One of the modules that I'm really, really passionate about within our company and most excited about is our critical control management module. So CCM to me is the ultimate lead indicator. What you're looking at is what are the things that can kill or seriously injure people or permanently disable people, and what are the critical controls we need to put in place to stop those things from happening. And not only that, what do we do to verify that those critical controls are being managed? What are we defining that, if they're critical controls, if that control is not in place, then someone will get hurt or can get hurt or killed. So it can look at it looks at all sorts of different aspects of how you control the controls, how you manage those critical controls. Who can be the owner of the critical control if it's not working properly? What are all the things you need to look at and so forth? So it's a module that I really like also because it doesn't add any extra work to your normal workload. So people just do their normal inspections and normal observations and those sorts of things, and they actually form the verification processes. So a lot of the time when you try to introduce a new process into a company, you'll get pushback because people say, look, I'm already busy, I don't have time to add more things to my day. Where this module allows you to say, well, you don't have to do anything more than what you already do. You just have to do your inspections or observations that you already do. You might add a few more questions. And then the system is fully integrated and then builds out those verifications. And then that information can be reported in both the dashboard and also in more detail in analytics. So what makes the module particularly powerful is that you can build out the critical risk events, material unwanted events, through a bow tie diagram process. So you can workshop it in front of a group of people. It automatically builds the controls and all the underlying documents that can then have different workflows. And then all the information that comes out of it from your verifications can go into here, and you can get some really good insights into what that data looks like. So it's one of the things that we're also actively building some artificial intelligence type functionality into the bow tie process where it will actually even build bow ties for you. So you can tell it a whole lot about what you do and the sorts of activities that you're doing, and it can then suggest the bow tie, and then you can modify those bow ties, and then you can define the verifications from there, and then you report in here, which is
It's so exciting. I saw the video of it last night, and you guys, your mind is going to be blown. It's incredible. I'm excited for everybody to be able to see it eventually, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So it's one of the it's one of the modules that I'd say if you're doing high risk work, you should really be targeting towards the things that are going to stop the major incidents and have the horrendous outcomes that you can get. And if you're just doing random inspections and you've got questions in there and they're not tied to critical control verifications, it's more of a scattergun approach where this is very, very targeted. So let's move into this. I'll get Selena to actually open up the dashboard, and we'll actually look at the critical control one. In fact, it's already there. Sorry. So Selena, I'll stop talking. I'll let you just show some of the navigation in there.
Before you
Okay,
jump
great.
in, Selena,
Yeah.
I've asked the question to the group, do they feel whether their company manages critical controls effectively? And it's really scary because 54%, even though it's half-half, say they don't, and they're not controlling them effectively. And even though at 50-50, you think, oh, well, 50% are doing it. That's not good. Like, we need 100% of people to be doing this effectively. So for everybody that said no, please get in touch because we'd love to help you. Obviously, even if you don't have MyOsh or anything like that, we'd love to help you steer your company in the right direction to get everything on board and just become safer. But yeah, sorry, over to you, Selena.
No, all good. Thank you. So we're looking here at our dashboard for the CCM module. What I wanted to show here as well, similar to the sustainability, where you can have your main visuals that are going to provide the most information give you the most information with the your limited space. But what we can also build, and again, these are fully customizable, is just little pop-ups to add a bit more information to the data that you're already looking at. So for some people, yeah, sure, 19.93 is that. What's the breakdown of that metric? And you can hover over that and see what that comprises. So similarly, yeah, we've got a similar one for residual, but for risk reduction, maybe you want to have a look at a trend over a specific period of time. The other pop-ups you can have is over a person. You can have a photo, might be useful to show their occupation, whether they're employee or contractor. And then this table shows just a little bit more information about that particular employee and how many assessments they've done. Again, similar visuals to what you've seen before. The other nice thing about this particular report, it does allow a little bit of interaction. So maybe, you don't want to see the top 5 controls. You only want to print a report that has the top 1 control and the risk. You can also select from the pop-ups. Again, that number, we can tailor that number, and you can display as many as you want. Obviously, though, the more categories you show, the less information you can garner from it. It's just easier to see the top few, which are the ones you might need to take action on. And then the other page to this report is a breakdown of the verifications. Again, we've used the color coding, so you can straight away, the idea of color coding is you don't really need to read the titles of everything. You just always know that green is going to be a pass and the red is going to be a fail. So we've consistently used that terminology and colors throughout the suite of reports so that users don't have to relearn every single new report or a report that they haven't seen before. So it's that consistency as well that we've kept through the reports that really helps. Again, you can do targets, which is similar to what we had for the risk profile, but a slightly different view. And you can do year-on-year comparisons, as we've seen before, and a lot of graphs within a table. Again, you've got a really basic table that you can look at certain data, but then if you want to see the data sitting behind it and analyze a bit more of what this key data is doing, then that's where it's all represented for you in the one visual.
One of the other things in here, just to point out, is like verifications on targets. Where the reporting starts to change when you're looking at critical control CCM is you start to look at, well, we've done things like why are we seeing so much green here? So the reds are showing failed. So you do a verification and you show that a control has failed. Now, ordinarily when you see red on a graph, people say, oh dear, something's really terrible. But if you see too much green and you don't see any red, it can mean that people can be doing their inspections or their verifications as a tick and flick exercise. So management start to look at these reports and they start to look at it in a different way. They start to, in fact, these sorts of reports are looked at in many cases at the people at the very top of the organisation, and the boards begin to look at this information more importantly than, say, looking at the lag indicators like the frequency rates. So what they're looking at here is they're looking at the data and they're trying to analyse it to say, well, you might have how come we had a lull in verifications? Is there a business reason behind it? Maybe we weren't as active in the field, or whatever that might be, or maybe people just weren't completing their inspections, observations, and so forth. So the data that they're seeing here, I know that senior management look at this sort of information and they look at it regularly because they know that if they get this under control, their high potential incidents will essentially go down significantly, which we've seen in customers that have actually used the module on the CCM side of things, because it's one of those modules where one of our customers brought up a graph which we could actually build into the analytics, where you're combining your all injury frequency rate and your high potential incidents and also showing you the number of verifications. And you can then be seeing things like the trends of, the more verifications that we do over time, and we see those frequency rates drop in the reports. So I think there's some of the things that we can show on the analytics, and they're a lot easier to show those sorts of things where you're showing multiple data points like frequency rate versus number of verifications and high potential. You can show those visually a lot better. And then you can show, yes, what we are doing is actually making a difference. We are, in fact, reducing our injury rates. So the lag indicators people are often very critical of, but it's only because they're overused and they're not used in conjunction with lead indicators. But this is a way where you can combine your lead indicator and your lag indicator to see whether your lead indicator is actually reducing your lag and is reducing the injuries and those sorts of things. So this can be a very, very powerful tool that you could then have, again, reported often to board level, management level, and so forth. And I know that a lot of the companies that I go to, the management are becoming more interested in looking at critical control management. In the past, it was more in the mining industry only, where now it's sort of getting to anywhere. And with our AI type technology that's coming out, you don't have to be an expert in critical control management to be able to build these things and to be able to flesh it out. Sorry, Selena, I completely took over again.
No. I was finished with this report. So no, perfect timing, Adrian. Thanks.
Excellent. Okay, so that's CCM again. One of the things from these reports is you can just get, you can just show so much information, and if you look at these and analyze them properly, you can make a marked difference. You can sort of see if you're not doing things properly, you can see them very quickly. Okay, that's the next one is I think is training, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously we've got quite a few tools for training within the Viking system. So we've got training matrix, and the training matrix is actually really evolved and is quite is very, very powerful. But you might want to look at other tools in here as well, and be able to do further analysis, and that's where and there'll be a little bit of overlap between some of the tools too. So, but we'd like to sort of show you some of the things that we've done and what's possible, where it may be of use. So, Selena, I'll get you to take over again.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, yes, there will be some overlap, and this again, Viking Analytics, we're just offering a little bit more interactivity. And one of the nice things is you can analyze, in detail where an issue is. And again, the color coding here is what I really wanted to showcase here. So at the moment, it doesn't look like this overall, this organization is doing too well. There's a lot of red here. But what we can do is, if we just specifically want to look at certain companies, we click on these wheels, we can see that, okay, this particular company is doing a lot better than the other two. It's the other two that are letting the team down. So you can really quickly, that was 3 clicks, and you can see where the problem lies. So that's a really handy feature that we can build in. Again, all configurable to and color schemes to whatever is suitable for you. And you can also have a look, by any of these filters across the top if you wanted to drill down in it, you want to slice the data differently. And yeah, as Adrian mentioned, we do offer a training matrix here if you want to just, again, a bit more, filtering. If you only wanted to see certain competencies, you can do that here. Again, not really that much more functionality than the dashboard, but if this is something that you want built out and you want an extra functionality added, we can definitely do that. Yeah, that was all I had for training to show.
In your opinion, Adrian and Selena, what would you think would be the most beneficial report that you've seen across the board for our clients so far? Like something that's just made you go, wow, that's made a huge difference.
Oh, to me, I'm really, really biased because I'm so passionate about the critical control management module. To me, that's the one there where you're measuring verifications, you're measuring all sorts of other information that's coming from the CCM module. So if you're not using the CCM module, maybe that's not going to be the most beneficial to customers. But to me, that module plus the reporting is what's going to provide the biggest bang for your buck for and moving away from focusing on injury reports to focusing more on showing how you've reduced the injury reports, and then showing how you're going with your verifications. All of a sudden your focus is in a proactive area as opposed to as a reactive area.
Yeah, getting ahead of it.
And for me, that's the most useful one. I quite like some of the psychosocial ones, which we haven't covered today because it's a third-party product. I know that's quite difficult to report on, and with things like us being able to integrate with other systems and push the data into here, along with other MyOsh data, that I think is, that's a very topical area that I think is also very useful and often not covered particularly well by organisations.
We're finding across the board more and more people are looking into that area as well. So it is something that we're constantly evolving and looking into, and coming up with new solutions for you all as well. So that's very exciting. What about you, Selena? What do you think?
Oh, look, it's sustainability for me. It's just one of those, areas where it just impacts everything. And more people are reporting on it. We're trying to obviously do away with greenwashing, because that's obviously a big problem as well. But more and more shareholders, even like investors, are all looking at companies' ESG reports before they put their hand up and mistake in. Yeah.
Well, that's true. we get the same thing as well. Before we sign on clients or anything like that, they ask the same question, and we're proud to be able to produce some reports back for them. So it's yeah, I've got one more question here from somebody. Oh, not somebody, sorry, Melissa. Did you mention that you can integrate data from another system into Myosh into the training dashboard? So that would be for Adrian, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you look at there is we've got a full API, which is a technical term for being able to control our system basically and push data in or pull data out. So the idea is these days APIs, most systems have APIs, which means that systems can talk to each other, which makes it really easy. And what it means is data can get pushed into our forms, which can then be also reported within analytics or even within our dashboard, or both. So yeah, absolutely, you can be getting data from all sorts of places, and that wouldn't just be related to training. That could be related to sustainability. If you're getting data from your electricity provider, or, you know, your power provider or your water provider, and it's coming to you in some sort of format, you could potentially push that across if you're collecting that in other systems. So, for example, we've got customers that are they're not capturing things like frequency rates as far as you normally do them. They might do it in the way of the number of kilometres they've driven because they're a logistics company. So the data can get pushed in from their systems that are recording the number of kilometres that they travel, and then being pushed into our system, which can then, anything that's in our system can then be reported in either analytics or our dashboard.
Amazing, thank you.
Yep, good question.
All right, so what's next? What else have you got to show us?
I guess nothing more to show.
I guess maybe just go to that list of reports, I guess, to give a bit of a flavour for some of the things that we've done, and then we can. So I think they were on one of those pages. So you can see we've shown some of these. So in some cases, we won't necessarily go into each of these, but and I won't even know. I mean, there's so many things being developed that I don't even see. But we've got standardized reports. So quite often people want to be able to do like show a body, a person's body, and then they want to be able to show the number of incidents that have occurred on a person's body. So they're the sorts of things that these reports actually come standard with Viking Analytics. So some of the reports you know will be associated with a module. If the data is already in the system, and you don't need another module, then you can just get these sorts of reports created. So you can click on a person's body part, and then that'll then drill across, I think, or filter across, and then you can, you know, then it highlights the reports on the right. So that's one of the reports that people sometimes ask for, which is very easily done in analytics. And is very, very well suited to that. So we also have, you know, other types of, we can extend the frequency rate type graphs to do more comparisons in other areas as well. So this is quite a, so we've got some standardized type reports that are already readily available. When, you know, if you get Viking Analytics, you will automatically get some of these reports, which can of course be changed to suit what you need to do. So we've got a lot of things that we've got library of dashboards in analytics that you can sort of say, well, these are the, you know, these are the things that we can sort of say, we've already developed some of these and we can modify them slightly where required to fit your specific needs. In other cases, you might come to us and say, look, we've got a very specific report that we want to produce. So it has to go to the board and it needs to be in this sort of format, and then we can review that and we can then build it a lot more closer in the analytics, Viking Analytics, than often we can in the dashboards themselves. So yeah, there's quite a few different things in here. We've shown quite a few of them. There's I think there's an MPI report somewhere, and there's a few other ones as well. So
it's a lot of, sorry, a lot of these reports are specifically for ESG. So yeah, you can report. We just want to show that you can report on, you know, as many categories as you can think So we've
Yeah,
got leaks and
horrendous,
repairs,
aren't
we've got inspections and spills, we've got basically anything you can think of it, we can report on it, and then they can all that data can be collated into the one dashboard report summary for management. And yeah, you know, these could be for possibly for individual departments. So yeah, someone asked about emissions. We've got consumption as well. So consumption is a good one that would feed, I think, wherever we had a consumption. So this report, the data from this report would feed into each of these metrics here.
It's amazing because I feel like a lot of people would collect the data, but then it sort of stops there and they're not really taking all the data together, analyzing it and coming up with solutions or processes to minimize risk and all of that sort of stuff moving forward. And that's the beauty of this, is it's doing that for you, and you're not having to spend countless hours and mind-numbing hours going over all the data to come up with a solution and come up with a process. It's doing it all for you, and it's just taking the effort out of safety, really, and making it easier for everybody to achieve a more safe environment for all their workers, which is what we want at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And a really easy one, like, you know, people, you know, ESG, you know, starting ESG might be daunting, but utilities is a really easy one to start off with and look at what you know, you've got the bills there.
I won't show my
It's just a
husband
matter
this
of
one.
it's just, pardon?
I won't show my husband this one.
It's just a matter of uploading. And yeah, you can easily have your data look like this, so you can analyze it, and yeah, you can see trends, you can see, you know, you can compare. Obviously, I think, you know, we all do with rising cost of living. You know, look at what it was like last quarter, last year, and yeah, this report can tell you all that with trends, and you can set targets for all of our modules. You can set targets, as some of you may know, and yeah, you can obviously report against those targets.
It's just amazing. I love it so much. It's yeah, and like I said before, it's something we're constantly evolving and constantly building upon. So it's only going to get better each day, and we're very excited for what we're going to be able to achieve with all of you watching and everyone around to get a safer future, essentially. Adrian and Selena, do you have any final things that you want to show everybody today or discuss?
Well, I think that's pretty much it from me.
I'm good, Christina, thanks.
Amazing. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've uncovered a little bit more into our Viking Analytics module that we have here at Myosh. Now, if you don't have Myosh, or if you have any questions or want any more information, please do not hesitate to contact us. We're always around, always happy to help. Our website is www.myosh.com, and there is so much data and information being uploaded to that daily. So yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out. I will be emailing this video and recording to everybody at the end of this webinar, and yeah, we'll go from there. So enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers. Thank you.